I didn't doubt I was going to reach that success. That was the first thing. Even in the hardest times, even when, I had losses, I still had that belief that I saw myself achieving it.
Hello everybody, this is Anthony for Investors Underground. In this episode, I'll speak with a successful trader who has over 20 years of experience. He began trading Italian stocks and covered warrants in 1999. Today, he primarily trades U.S. equities and implements a holistic approach, focusing on both mind and body in his own trading while also mentoring developing traders. It's an honor for me to welcome Jade Trader, Joseph Gasperoni. Hello, Joseph. Thank you for being here and taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you, Nieto, and Investor Underground to having me over here. It's a pleasure. I've been following you guys, and you're doing such a great job. So very good to be here to do this, for the traders out there. So hope to deliver something that is useful for other traders.
I believe you will, Joseph. I got a chance to hear you present at Traders for a Cause a couple years ago in Las Vegas, and there was a great presentation. I learned a lot from it, and I know other traders did as well. So very much looking forward to this episode with you. I'd love to start, if that's okay, with just learning some background about you. Can you talk a little bit about your upbringing and how you first got exposed to the world of stocks and trading?
So I will start with my humble beginnings. I'm an American citizen, but also San Marino citizen. My family is both Italian and American, and I was born over here in Italy, actually in San Marino, which is a small republic. And I always saw people around me, like older people, like investing in stocks. And I had the cousin of my mom, which was an head trader at New York in Manhattan. And when he was coming over to Italy and I was very small, I used to see him going around like, he was bringing me in Rome and other cities. And he was always stopping in, at the tickers, at the stock market. And he was looking always at the tickers. I was asking, what are you looking at? And he said, I'm looking at my investments. So that was when I was like 18 years old. And then when I was around 17, 18 years old, I had to decide what to do in life. And I didn't like the school I was doing. The school that I was doing was classical. I was studying Latin, Old Greek, literature, and that was boring. I mean, like, it was really boring. So I was a lot into sports. That was the time I was doing some bodybuilding. I started like when I was around 17. I was doing martial arts. And I told my parents, just like that, out of a glance, I want to try stock market. I mean, there was this newspaper called Trading Online back in 98, 99 that I was waiting every single week to buy it at a newsstand. And they was just like sharing, traders' adventures. They were showing like, stocks in the Italian market. And that was the time of the tech stocks, the tech bubble we had in Italy. So first came in the States, and then, like everything else in Italy and Europe comes like years later. So I got very interested. And I remember that the last year I had to start school, the last year of high school. And I told my parents, I don't want to go anymore to the high school. And they were like shocked, imagine like saying this to your kids. And my father, he's pretty strict, but probably I have to thank him because he's the one that gave me also discipline and also his morals. Told me, are you really sure about this? He looked me in the eyes and I said, Dad, I want to try. We'll finish my high school at evenings because I wanted to finish. But during the day, I want to study for trading. And I didn't know anything about it. I was young, broke, no car. I mean, my parents, when I was 18, they bought me a car that was like probably $1,000 over here in San Marino. And I was still sleeping by my parents because over here in Italy is very different than in the States. I mean, you cannot afford, to go live by yourself 18 years old. So I remember that the last year I just started like that, Anthony. And I worked the summer. I put away some money, so I didn't ask my parents any money. And I opened an account with Fineco, which is one of the brokers that we have in Italy, one of the oldest one. I knew a person over there, was 18 already. And I started just looking at stocks, had no manuals. And I remember that I was investing, on what I thought was going to go up. I always had this idea, I see a stock in a day, has some volume, maybe some news around. I was reading newses, and it didn't really work. I mean, after 1 month and a half, I had like 3 million of lira, which is like $1,500. I lost everything. So at that time, my dad was looking at me and he said, remember, you have 1 year. If you are not able to achieve a little bit of consistency, you'll go to university. I had to go to do economics in Siena, like 2 hours from here, but I didn't really feel. My mind at this time was only like, I want to make money. That was my first thing. I want to do bodybuilding, and I want to just live the life, do what I want. I didn't want to feel like oppression. I didn't want to feel like, anybody else to tell me what I have to do in life. And maybe this is the reason why I chose this job, because I want to be free. And I remember that I started to find some traders around. There were like some communities in Italy. I started to go like in Milan, which is 4 hours from here. And there was these seminars from Trading Library. They used to publish books from the States and translate. And I bought so many books. But I didn't have money often to buy the books. So what I used to do, I used to ask my parents to help me. I used to ask my grandparents, can you buy me that book? I used to get sometimes, traders that were selling photocopies of those books. So I had like maybe, or secondhand books. And I remember that I was studying, Larry Williams was the one that at first showed me a very systematic approach in trading. He was talking about, how he changed, $10,000 in 3 months in 1,100,000. That was simply incredible. And when I saw this, I said, okay, this guy, if he did that, why I cannot do it? Of course, I would understand after that it was really, really hard. And, but I liked his approach because he was tracking every single setup that he was trading, and he was using statistics, things that I didn't see, for example, from Barry Rudd of Hit and Run. I bought Hit and Run Trading 1 and 2. I had Oliver Velez. I had Jeff Cooper, the Total Trading, all of these strategies that they were good for day trading. And I then joined some communities in Italy. I started to go like beating traders at their home, try to learn. But then I started looking into cover warrants because I had a small account. I refunded an account, I had a small account, and I had a little bit of success. Let's say like from 2K, I went to 4K in about a couple of months. But I said, by, this speed, how can I grow my account? How can I still show, because I'm still in the first year, my parents, especially my dad, that I'm profitable? I mean, in order to make a paycheck, a yearly paycheck, it's going to take me years, right? So I started to investigate more in cover warrants, which, to give you an idea, are not really the warrants that now we see from, companies in small caps that they used to dilute, exercise and everything. They're more like options, like right now. So if the stock and the line stock moves, let's say 2%, you have cover warrants that can move like 30, 40, 50, even 100% in a day, based on the Greeks and everything. And these were mainly on stocks of tech companies, bubble stocks. But you have to understand, Nieto, that in Italy, these stocks were often very liquid. So there was a lot of spread between bid and ask. We say in Italy, denaro e lettera. And I got to know some good traders in Italy at the time. They became, they won competitions over here like Achille Capezzi, Domenico Foti, Marco Alberti. And I started to work with some of them, like every day, with the headphones, I had a connection with a satellite. Just think about the years, 99, 2000. And so these stocks are so illiquid that, with few thousand euro, you could really move them for even 3-4%. It was incredible. So imagine that then we had cover warrants that they were like issued by banks. So they're not issued by, the New York Stock Exchange. They're issued by banks like Societe Generale, Citibank, Dresdner, Deutsche Bank. And we were buying, let's say, Mediaset of Berlusconi. Instead of buying that at 17 euro, you were buying that at maybe the equivalent, $10,000 of that, 10,000 euro of that, you were buying maybe like 50 contract of forward warrant. And you could make, let's say, a 40-50% return in about 15-20 minutes. It was crazy, insane. I started very small. I funded this account with Twice Sim, a bank that was in Italy, in Milan, in 2001. And I still remember that when I found it, I had 50 milliliters, so 8,000 euro, almost 8,000 euro. And in the first 6 months, I got to almost 160K. And that was insane doing this system. And the system worked until 2003, almost all 2003. So those were the years where I made a ton of money. I accumulated. My dad was happy. I helped him pay a car to him and my mom. I helped them to, pay some of the things they had, loans. I bought properties. So imagine I was 22, 23 years old. I was buying properties in Italy. And I started to be successful. And I felt like, I was reaching the top. My performance in the first year was 1,500%, and I then skyrocketed to 3,000%. So insane. But this didn't last forever. So the good thing is that I was always wiring out. And that kept me safe because when then the market finished, so these cover ones were not anymore tradable, and you cannot simply move these tech stocks like that because tech stocks really finished to be so volatile and liquid around 2003, 2004. Then I had to shift market. And so I started like being a beginner again. And that really cost me frustration. So I know when traders, I started talking to traders that tell me they're frustrated because maybe they had 1 year, 2 years of great success. And I was making 7 figures. And I passed from that in a year to making probably only losses, and then to starting making $50 in a day in euro, because I started then to switch to futures in only European stocks, Italian stocks. So that was how I started.
Okay, and for that first year, were you trading all entirely on the Italian exchange?
Yes, only Italian exchange. We had also access to the US markets, but the commissions with the Italian brokers were very, very high. At that time, we had the Grail tick. I enjoyed at the time I was part of this, I can say it, I was part of this website called Finance Online, which is also still active in Italy. And I was writing day trading newsletters also for Studio Borsa, which there's a good trader right now in Italy called Gabriele Bellelli. We were working together. So this for all the traders that told me that I'm not trading since 1999, 2000. You can refer, everything is public and you can see it there. But I started trading US market just later in the days and, small caps 2016, 17.
Okay. And in addition to sort of having this edge that you found in the market, what do you attribute some of that success in the early days? Was it all things that you think traders these days could replicate it, or was it kind of unique to that moment in time?
For me, is 3 things that I have as person. One is I am a believer. So if you start reading, for example, not you, Nieto, but in general traders, this book that I really liked is called 369 Projects. Or you start looking everything around and you read, you know, about motivational, you have to find out that your mind is really what makes you achieve all your biggest goals. So I'm a believer because from the first moment, I I didn't doubt I was going to reach that success. That was the first thing. Even in the hardest times, even when, I had losses, I still had that belief that I saw myself achieving it. And if you read this book, 369 Project, it will really help you. The second thing is that I have faith in also knowing people that will help you get to those levels. Because, for example, I attribute some of my help to Mark Alberti, Tex, a great trader that he made really millions in Italy. And he became a financial advisor because he helped me. I was 19, 20. He was like double my age. So he took me like his, I don't know, like son, and we were just like working a lot. So I thank him a lot. And then the other thing is that I was lucky to read the great books. I read so much. I have still my library down here full of books from those years because I believe that I try to get the best from everybody and then made it myself. And for me was trying to find, that, I would say, that trick, that way to unlock the market for yourself, for what you're trading. There's always a way, trading efficiencies, trading spread, trading, like breakouts, trading pullbacks, something that it will work. You just have to find what works for you. And for me, were these three things. So like it would say faith, believe in myself, and finding really a niche of the market.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, and I definitely want to talk a little bit more later on about psychology and 369 method. I think that'll be really interesting for traders to hear about. Joseph, if it's okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about what happened after that first year, during that period where you had to adjust and adapt your strategy. I know you had mentioned it was frustrating for you. How did you go through and find a new strategy? What was that new strategy? And how did it help you get to where you are today?
So I believe that you are a trader and you have to evolve. It's just like when you are a doctor, you're a doctor. It's not that you studied 20 years ago in university, in college, and those techniques, those notions that you learn, they're going to be like, the more advanced, the newest every single year. No, medicine progress each year, right? And so is trading. Market is, is always changeable. For example, in the last 15 years, especially since 2008, 2009, we saw the rise of algorithms, of more hedge funds, and the volatility and the liquidity that we have, for example, in futures market is much more than what he had in the previous 10 years. Every year is growing, and even the implementation of algorithm is always growing. I was reading statistics even the starting of the year. So that means that we have algorithms, so like automated systems, or right now we can even say artificial intelligence that is even working against us, because the majority of these systems are created to understand the psychology and how the human being trades so that they can work against us and profit by us. So in my situation was only to see and track my performance. So much before TraderView and much before all these apps, TraderSync and everything we have right now, I was simply keeping an Excel sheet and looking what my strategy was performing and when it was overperforming or underperforming. And when I saw something that was changing from that, so the stats are becoming worse, I used to investigate what I could do better to improve. And I would say spiritual adaptation and not being stubborn. If something doesn't work, you have to shut it down. You have to change it. For example, when you have a trading system or you have algorithms, sometimes you really need to shut them down. For example, after, drawdown, let's say of 5-10% or whatever that you put, because there can be like, a special situation, an extreme scenario where you have to shut them down. Then you make the restart when you see that the market is like reworking again. So spirit adaptation, looking at the market, see what works, and trying to find those patterns, those strategies that repeat over time, and that they are simple to also to spot and to trade them.
Whether your goal is to adapt to changing markets or learning a new trading strategy, Investors Underground has something to offer traders of all levels. You'll have access to courses and mentors to learn from, some of the best technology available for scanning stocks and breaking news, and access to the chat rooms where you'll find a vibrant community of focused traders who share their trade ideas in real time each day. You'll also have access to the morning broadcast where Nate and the IU moderators share their trade ideas for the day ahead during the pre-market session. You'll have access to the midday sessions with Stan, the midweek study session with Sam, webinars, moderator watch lists, and all the other resources that Investors Underground has to offer. Listeners of the podcast can access special deals at investorsunderground.com/YouTube. And now, back to my interview with J Trader, Joseph Gasperoni. What does your sort of review process for your system look like today?
So no, they're very, very different. I mean, today we have access to everything. In the Italian market, I didn't have access to filings. There were nothing like, all these apps, softwares that they could tell you the dilution. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know. I only know about the float and a few other things. All the rest for me was the chart only and the tape. I started reading like a lot about tape reading that time. Right today, I do two types of process, which for me, one is the report card, that what I spoke about, that Trader for Cause. It's, I would say, dissection of your trading from the standpoint of view technical. So seeing, for example, all your playbook, how it worked out, win rate, profit factor, average win, average loss, and so on. But also the emotional and discipline part. So tracking, for example, if you are greedy or you're a trader, stubborn, to see what you're best at, where your errors come from. So I made this simply sheet. And that gives me an idea of how my trading is going. Because if we don't put things into stats, we want to see a reference of how we are trading that moment, if we're good or we're not. And then, there are so many great apps today. So I don't use anymore those Excel sheets that I had. I was not even too good at them. So just it's so simple today.
How would you define your trading style today in 2024? Where do you find edge in the market?
So the best way for me to trade is scalping and day trading. And I would say why? Because it really lowers the risk. The more we open our trading to longer position and to swing, and this is when, for example, I stopped to day trade because I had a bad period in my life from 2012 till 2016. I was swinging and doing some investments. Well, that gives a big, I would say, open to risk. When I scalp, so let's say even for 1 or 2 minutes, 5 minutes in and out, taking small moves, but with size, I can really keep the risk very small, very low, very tight. And that I would say is the best way for keeping risk under control. You feel good. You go to sleep that you have no position on. You don't care about if you have news in the next morning. So that is what I like to do. The good thing is that when I started to trade futures in 2003, 2004, 2005, so those years I started changing from the Italian covered warrants to futures, FTSE, DAX, FIB, so the Italian index futures. I started to study a lot about systems, a lot about statistics, a lot about Fibonacci, and I started to find patterns that they used to work. For example, at the time, the majority of the books that you were buying, they were talking about breakouts trading. The micro consolidation breakouts, they used to work. Market was very different. Then, came Ross Hook. So you were buying not the breaker, but breaker waiting the pullback, and you were generally buying on a moving average. So you were looking to buy a low risk entry with a stop below the pullback, the relative low. And then we had that. And then we started to see a lot of mean reversal plays. And I started seeing this a lot from 2008, 2009. So a lot of the future plays that we had, they were just like fake breakouts. So bull traps and fail, and fake breakdowns, a reversal for the long plays. And so the market really changed from, normal breakouts to mean reversal, and then to have them both, to really, I would say, to trap the retailer. So for me, the best way to trade, to keep risk under control, is day trading, is looking at what the market is actually doing and try to find those patterns. I mean, in my opinion, I'm not a good swing trader, but I really like to day trade and scalp.
Okay. And so it's safe to say that that's still how you trade today, almost entirely on an intraday basis, and scalp for maybe a few minutes. What's the average maybe hold time for a trade for you?
5 to 10 minutes. That's the most that I like to keep a position. Then you can have, some trade that maybe you take it and you start recycling, or you start taking a trade and simply works. So you keep like a part of the position. But otherwise, especially when you trade the open, I like to trade 9:30 till 11 generally. Often the moves can be really like reversing. You trade Tesla, not always you're going to have, like a gap up, a dip, and then push all day up. Sometimes it's going to be in about 10 minutes, 3 times changing the direction. So I like to keep fast cuts. I like to use the hotkeys a lot. And I always set trades that have a correct risk reward ratio for me, so at least 3R. And anything that it gives me no at least 3R return on, on the paper. So like, what is my target is 3R, 4R, and that is my risk. Anything that is not with those stats, I'm not going to trade it.
What gets you interested in a stock to potentially trade it? Is it a catalyst, or is it maybe a percentage move on the day or news? What gets your attention and really makes you want to consider putting your capital at risk to take a trade?
So this comes from when I started trading the Italian market back in the days. The thing that I found out is that I have to focus where there's liquidity. And also where there's the volatility, so the range, because without range, without liquidity, we cannot make simply money. And, to answer all the traders that ask always, do you care if it goes up and down? No. Essentially, we are day traders, or we are scalpers. I'm not, on hold or like a swing position trader that I want to buy and hold. No, I care just the market moves. Then if it's up and down, I don't simply care. And that I would say is the best way to do it. So you don't have a bias, right? So the first thing I look in the morning, if I'm looking at large caps or mid caps, is the catalyst. I open the scanners and I look everything that is above 2%. For example, this morning we had MU, so Micron Technology. We had VKTX with another drug news update. And we had Tesla. They were all gapping up above 3%. Tesla made a dip, had about 3 changes in bias in the first 10 minutes, and then started to go up for at least 4 points. MU had a dip and then simply went all the straight up for about 4 or 5 points. VKTX, the same thing. After 10 minutes, found a direction, bull flag, and then went up for about 7, 8 points. So that is one of the strategies that I prefer. The gap up, good catalyst, trying to buy the dip, so not the breakout, where I have a low risk entry. But a lot of times we have a bias, right? So we think, oh, that's a good news, maybe FDA approval. and or phase 3 final endpoint met, and we think it's going to go up. Instead, we have an open, maybe it pops near the pre-market high, maybe fake daily breakout, and then fails all the way down. Like what you like to call the sell the new scenario. So for me, as always, when I prepare my plan, I try to have two major strategies, one for long and one for short. And then it's simply waiting what the market is going to give. What the market is going to deliver, I'm going to try to catch. Not always it will work. Sometimes it's going to get stopped. But when it works, I try to make it work for at least 3-4 hours. Otherwise, it's not for me worth to take the trade. When I'm looking at small caps, instead, it's totally different. I'm looking for certain parameters, and I do a lot of back testing. For example, if we're looking at stocks with less than 400 million market cap, and I run the statistics since I started trading in I would say, after 30 years old. So I started back 2017, and one of the first room I joined when I came back to trading, because I was not profitable in small caps, was Invest Underground, and I learned a lot also from Nate, from also Smash the Bid, that helped me a lot. And I dig in so many rooms, and everybody gives you something that is good. Then, of course, you have to find what works for you, right? So I started to back test this only after 6-7 months that I was simply not profitable in small caps. And I found out that more than 70% of the stocks that have maximum 400 million market cap, with at least 30% gap, with institutional ownership below 30%, they tend to fail. Also with 200K at least volume per market, they tend to fail on day one. And now, running from 2017 up till now, we have almost 73% of these stocks in small caps fail on day one. And that's a very good niche, and tells you what? Tells you that if we're looking too long, we have to be very careful, because we can get really trapped in a stock that will fail. Now, if we add on this dilution, but it doesn't really matter if a stock has 100 million on shelf, but then has, for example, enough cash to survive 10 years. So we need to see a company that is in really need of cash, so need to desperately raise cash. And this is something that tells you if the company is toxic, those shell companies. In that case, we rise the forecast to above 80% of these will fail. There are other things that you can implement. And this is something that also, thanks to a trader that joined the room, Alex Savone, we track together. So if these stocks have also a spike at the open less than 10%, okay, so in the first 5 minutes, we have a spike less than 10%, then we have 86% of these stocks will fail on day one. So what it gives me a forecast. Of course, one can go against you, and if you don't have a stop loss, you can burn your account. So it's always about then, you put your pattern that you track, let's say a fake breakout or VWAP projection, whatever. You put the forecast, and then the risk management and the risk reward. So you start calculating where is the average target for these small caps when they fail. And I remember that years ago, I started saying, traders, the 200 million on the 5, so the 1,000 million on the 1 is the major, generally, target for these small caps. And they're starting criticizing me because I didn't know actually a crap about it. But actually now everybody uses. And it's something that is really worth it when you have small cap. It's that fixed target that generally trades go over there when they start fading. So having these stats gives you an idea of what you want to trade. And for me, it's very, very important to track everything.
Okay, great. Thank you. It sounds like you do a bit of back testing. Is that through software, or are you doing this sort of manually and working with other traders on sort of getting these forecasts and doing some of the research for what might fail day one and things like that?
So when I started the 2017, all this was doing manual. So every day, Excel sheet, pages and pages and pages, and looking. It faded, it ran, what time, float, short float, institutional ownership, everything was tracked. And it was boring, it was tiring. I lost hours over there that I could have enjoyed with my wife or in the gym or out at the beach. I live 20 minutes from the beach. But right now, I have some coders that are working with me because we made also trading system algorithms. So it's just simply so fast. You program everything. You can run this through multi-charts. You can do on Python, and you have like your tracking in about by the time you program maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour, and then when you run the stats, it's just like 30 seconds. So it's so much faster, and you can see right away if a strategy works or not. When you do it like manual, the good part is that what you have to look at every single example. So when I am, mentoring a trader, I don't want to give him like the answer. It's like if you have to find that path yourself, because you know that the path itself will help you understand and will teach you something along the way. And looking at all those examples, looking what was the setup of entry. It was a fib level, it was a stuff, or it was a fake washout for a long. What was? And then what was the volume? You start calculating all these things, and you start now imprinting in your memory that pattern that occurred, for example, 10, 15, 20, 30 times in the last 3 months. So you see that pattern reoccurs, and then you start looking at this pattern in the different cycles of the market. For example, bear market, bullish market, and you see if it works or not, when you can trade it. So I think it's something that you should be doing first manually, and then of course when you have a little bit of experience doing with a coder, or you learn how to code, backtest like automatically will save you a lot of time.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think you bring up a cool point about knowing how to do these processes and find these answers out for yourself, and then only later, once you know how to do that already, cutting down the time and being more efficient so that you can move on to other things, maybe even get a programmer to help you do this. What are some of the technical indicators that you use, Joseph, to help you find maybe where you want to enter a position or set your risk or find an exit position for your trades?
This is funny, Nieto, because since the beginning of my career, I always wanted to find the Holy Grail, which doesn't exist. Or I mean, if somebody has it, good for him. So I first had Realtic MetaTrader 20 years ago, and I studied and I tried to code every single indicator possible. I backtested them all. And then I put them together, and then I put them with different multi-time frames together to see, for example, if the volume divergence plus the MACD together on the 1 minute, 5 minutes, and hourly chart, they give you some sort of signal or whatever. And then I had NinjaTrader. So NinjaTrader 1, 2, all the different versions till now what we have, I think the 8 or whatever. So I backtest everything over there. And then with TradingView, and then with TOS. And at the end, I found that you can make it so much complicated with indicators that they will even create you more confusion. So for me, the first thing is the volume, is the price action, and is the pattern. Those are the three main things. Then you can tell me, Jay, what volume? Could be volume, could be tape, could be volume profile, could be order flow. Price action, just knowing, for example, Wyckoff, or just knowing like, the Elliott. So higher lows, higher highs, waves. And then patterns, the patterns that work for you. Could be a ABCD, could be a head and shoulders, whatever you find that it works for you. Then personally, I like to use certain indicators, VWAP, which I was never using in Italy. And I'm honest, I didn't even know it existed. So I started to know about VWAP only when I went into not futures, because in futures they didn't use the time so much, and we use a lot of tick charts. When I started trading small caps and American market, I like to use pivots just to give an idea of the mathematical key levels. I like to use Fibonacci a lot, and I essentially base one indicator that I created called J lines on my Fibonacci numbers. So 7289 EMA 89 is an exponential number that you will find in the fibs. And you know, traders, a lot of traders, they don't even know how to calculate fibs. So 1 plus 1, 1 plus 2, 2 plus 3, 3 plus and 5, 8, and so on. You go 34, 50, 55, 89, and so on. So traders always, learn where the things are coming from, and see also that, for example, when you're trading small caps, you will see 61 and 78%. If you trace, the high 100 and below zero, there'll be often places where you have the rejection on the lower highs. And there you have to look for stuff. So things like this. But for the rest, I keep it very, very simple. For me, the most important thing, maybe traders will say tape, which is absolutely so important, or order flow. For me, it's patterns together with tape or volume, together with price action. So a confluence of factors that I would say gives me an edge when I trade.
When you think about your trading style, is there maybe one or two trades that you think are great examples of how you like to trade, or setups and patterns that make the most sense to you?
Yes. So one of the patterns that I like the most, being that we're trading small caps, or we're trading large caps, or we're trading futures, okay, is when we have an open and a gap up, like we were saying before, and then we have an instant washout. This washout can happen in the first minute, so completely a very fast on the over of, for say, the open level, or it can take more like 10, 15 minutes, so more like an accumulation and then explosion. And I see that if the stock is on a gap up in large caps or in small caps is on a gap up, but also has certain parameters like high volume. Generally, on a small cap, the high volume will be, if we consider a $3, $4, $5 stock, more than 700K per minute at the open. And we have generally a trap below VWAP, and then a fast reclaim of that VWAP and a curl above the VWAP, okay? Because the whites can be a stuff. Then in that case scenario, when we dip into the VWAP and we curl, I like to take those longs. And the setup itself, I like to call it J-Lance curl, because essentially often the price goes to touch the dip into this J-Lance, so in this 7289 EMA. And then from there starts to push all the way up. I also coded this so it can be automatically give me the signal when I have to long, but I see this pattern recurring over time. I saw it in 2017, 2020, 2022, and right even today, this is a pattern that it works. Again, why I like this pattern? Because every single pattern, I believe, has to have three characteristics. One, fast to recognize, and that is the first thing, because if you take like time and you day trade, you'll simply miss it. Repeatable, so it has to become often, at least a couple of times a week if you day trade. And then also has to be remunerative, so profitable. Over time, it has to, give you an equity curve like increasing, and also has to have a good profit factor with that, because maybe it has a 60% or 70% win rate, but of course the profit factor is 1. It's not gonna work, commission and everything. I'm not gonna trade for 1 hour. So you have to have at least 3-4 hours. So it has to be like back tested over time. But that's a setup that it works.
Okay. Thank you so much, Joseph. And
You're welcome.
I wanted to talk a little bit about lifestyle, because when speaking to you, it definitely seems like lifestyle is something that you take into consideration, and you want to live a holistic style where you're not just focused only on the markets and, basically handcuffed to your desk, but try to enjoy life and get out, go to the gym, but also watch what you're eating and things like that, and focus on psychology. So can you talk a little bit about the importance of this holistic type of approach? And, maybe if we could start with psychology and how you use 369 method and how that factors in.
The thing that made me very happy is that the more I go on in the trading world, and if God wants, I'll be over here for a long time and try to come over here to Trader for Cause because I love what you guys are doing. So that really, from the bottom of the heart, is something that I believe to do good for others is amazing. But the more I go on, the more I see traders that are behaving like athletes. They're like doing gym, bodybuilding, or any other sports. For example, I was telling you, I saw Nate deadlifting in the gym. I see Lance Bristain, which is a good friend also. Hi, Lance. That is so much dedicated into bodybuilding. I see Ricky Anlook. I see so many other traders. They are trying to keep more attention at their lifestyle, not drinking, for example, the days that they're working in trading, not overeating because it can make you sleepy, lethargic. They're like trying to function better at brain level. So raise your endorphins through gym to something that puts out your stress. And also trying to work on the aspects that make them become better traders, because traders are like athletes, right? They always say, this is funny, but they always say when you have an important game, the coach tells to the athletes, to his team, don't have sex the night before, or I don't know if this helps or not, but it tells basically, to go sleep, don't do crazy stuff and whatever. I mean, I believe in this, at least the 5 days that you trade or the 3 days that you trade, because you have to think at your priority. That's the first thing. Of course, we have family, we have God, we have relation, we think in something, we believe in something, we have other things. But if you want to trade at a certain level, you have to put as your priority. And then you have to work around things in order that everything connects and goes into the right spot for your trading. Diet, so nutrition, body, Latins used to say mens sana in corpore sano. So healthy body and a healthy mind are connected together. And then I would say one of the most important things is to work on your mind. So could be meditation for some traders, could be praying for others, could be having some kind of activity like a hobby that makes you feel better, makes you feel good. Personally, I find the gym or boxing is what is the best thing for me, because I'm a type of person that is anxious, by nature. So I need that, way to release the stress. If I keep everything inside, I also suffered of panic attacks. And, I'm not over here ashamed to admit it. Everybody's a superhero. I'm not. I cried. I weighed 115 kilos. And I still was afraid when I had panic attacks, because it's something that really touches you. So if you experience it, trader, just like there's a way to come out from this. And meditation helps you. Gyms helps you a lot. Boxing helps you a lot. Having friends helps you a lot. So all of these things have to be perfect in your life. If you have something that doesn't go good, your trading will be affected. If you have problems with your partner, wife, or a husband, then your trading will be affected. Don't trade those days until you solve your things. So for me, it's really like having a great routine. And when I mentor a trader, it's not only for me, to see his playbook, his trading, but it's also to get informed about his life or her life, how we can make it better. Could be part-time or full-time. So I believe this, Nito.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you so much, Joseph, for opening up. For the traders listening who might know nothing of meditation, could you talk a little bit about what that process is like for you, what meditation means, and maybe if you could give traders, an idea for how they might be able to get started, something that they could try maybe today or in the next couple days?
So, was almost 10 years I started doing meditation, and it was not for trading, but it was for a need that I had because I was anxious. Things, in my life. And that was the reason why 2012 I stopped from day trading the European market full time. And I started doing a lot of Vipassana. So it's like an Indian type of meditation, like Osho. And it really helped. So it's like breathing 1 hour. Of course, in the beginning, you can do 10, 15 minutes. After that, I started to, and I even have to go on the 4th of April, yes, I started to do rebirthing. This, I think, is the best thing that will change you, will help you so much. It's so breathing, it's so intense. It was created by a psychologist or psychiatric US from the States. So you have to lay down, you have to have a coach. So start with a coach. And the session lasts 45 to 50 minutes, but can last even hours. And you start breathing in a certain way, like very, very fast, in order to bring and make emerge all your bad sensation, bad feelings, or even good feelings. So you will experiment crying, laughing, maybe muscle pulling your back, your nerves over here, they can get like very stiff, but you have to continue like breathing. And then you start very, very fast and then you slow down. So research rebirthing and then, just tell to me or to Nieto if that works, but do it with a coach, okay? So don't do it by yourself. And then I like to read books. So there are like so great books from John Assaraf to others that really helped me, especially if you like to do a little bit of visualization, affirmation, emotionalize. And what I said before is that meditation has to be built for your needs. So not every meditation is good. Try different ones and see what works for you, because maybe me and Nieto are totally different. Maybe we'll work something for him better than me. And I work more with something else, maybe something more mild, maybe something like, like Indian one. And maybe he likes more like from rebirthing or something like that. So try to experiment.
One of the other things I wanted to talk about, Joseph, was the importance of diet and exercise. I mean, it definitely seems like that's something that you incorporate into your daily life. Can you talk about some of the benefits that those provide for you, but also that can provide to some of the traders who might not be incorporating that right now, or maybe they're not incorporating it as much as they maybe could be or should be?
So everybody works in a different way, and we can work at this level, or this level, like low, medium, and high. Of course, everybody wants to perform at the highest level possible. And how you can work and perform, not only in trading, but if you're, let's say, a musician, I know that you play, if you are an engineer, if you're a cop, how you can be at your top level if you're simply, let's say, eating bad, bad stuff. And it's just like chemical, right? Let's say you eat something with full of saturated fats or something that really is full of sugars. I mean, your exams are bad. Cholesterol, sugars have an impact on your health and your mind. Sugars is a drug. It makes you sleepy. It makes you lethargic. How can you be so fast when you have to take fast decision in trading? How can you be lucid? How you can be focused? You are having, for example, cholesterol high. That also raises your blood pressure and also raises, there's a connection with probably hematocrit. And that makes you rash. That makes you like also impatient. That can make you nervous. So how you can perform patience when you're trading. If you don't know the connection there is between your body and your mind, you're simply out of the game. And that's the reason why you have to eat healthy. And I don't say to do bodybuilding, juice in or whatever. I'm talking about a healthy lifestyle. I'm talking about you can take some good supplementation. You can take some vitamins, for example, some amino acid, BCA, something like this. But then also you can control your diet. It could be intermittent fasting is very, very good for performing. It can be ketogenic diet. They say that for trading, the ketogenic diet is one of the best diet out there because you lack of carbs. If then you're a type of person that need carbs to function, okay, go intermittent fasting. You'll get better. Shape is going to get better. All the actors are doing it right now. Sports people as well. If instead you have a super fast metabolism, just have like, a no fats diet or healthy fat, omega, avocado, salmon, things like this. Now, I'm not a nutritionist, just know it. Go find yourself, read, research, and try it, okay, with the nutrition, with the doctor. I'm not giving away here any kind of medical advices. But that's what worked for me, and that what I saw can work for so many other people, so many other traders. So for me, that is very important. Personally, I switched. In winter, I was eating a lot of carbs, no fats. And now I'm eating less carbs, more healthy fats, more proteins. I did intermittent fasting like for a couple of months. I got so much leaner when I used to do that. I did ketogenic diet, but it doesn't work for me. I didn't like it. Even if when I was come to trading, I was never tired. Was never tired. When you eat after lunch and that 1 o'clock, 1:30, there's power hour coming 1 hour and you feel like this, you're like falling a little bit asleep and you're looking at charts and I said, oh, what's happening to me? When I was doing ketogenic, so fats and proteins, I was never feeling tired. It was incredible. It takes around 3 weeks to adjust. For some people, 1, for some people, 3. Me, I'm slower, 3. But then you feel so good. What's the worst thing of it? I love pizza. I love sushi. So that was not part of my diet and I hate it. But otherwise it works so good, so good. And you get leaner. So your wife or your husband will love that.
Awesome. Thank you. And I wanted to ask Joseph, do you find any similarities with trading and something like bodybuilding, which I know you've done in the past?
Yes, so many. So think about you are building your body, but you're building also your training level. And you go by steps, right? I cannot go in the gym and the first day you try to bench or squat 300 pounds. I mean, you're going to break yourself. You're going to hurt yourself, right? And I cannot simply get into trading and start trading, like me, for the first time in my life, small caps with 5,000 shares or 10,000 shares. I'm going to probably or be lucky and make fast, quick money, but then lose it right away, or simply burn out my account. So you have to start with a plan. You have to start progressing, practicing. So practicing what means starting with few reps, few weight, prolonging your sessions in the gym. In trading would be like retrading, studying, put a little more size when you see that you are confident and grow up. So there's a lot of connection, but also there's connection in the way that you have to be disciplined. So if I don't go gym every single day or at least 3-4 times a week for the next 6-12 months in a row, I'm not going to have any kind of improvements. Okay, I cannot go 3 days, perform, be disciplined, and then not go for 1 week, eat bad, miss, for example, a workout. Never happened to me. I mean, it's 25 years, maybe a little bit more, 27, that I train. And besides when I got hurt, or when I was even when I was in Greece, in a remote island, I was training with the branches and the trees. I was doing lifting like that. So imagine that I never skipped more than 3 or 4 days from the gym. Even when there was like COVID, I was training at home. So for me, it's like really a need. And trading is also that. But you need discipline. In trading, you need discipline. You need also routine. In trading, you need a routine. You need a plan. In trading, you need a plan. So they're so connected. It's about what you want in life and the person you are. Trading, form yourself and it will change you. Gym will form yourself and will change you. Where? At the point they will both test you. And when I say gym, could be bodybuilding, could be any other sport, but at I would say, almost professional level. Try to do tennis, try to do football, soccer, whatever. But if you do almost like the professional level, you will see that the level simply changes. You want to trade and you want to trade good. You have to do it like in the future on a professional level. You have to do everything like you do in the gym. You are an athlete. Okay. So they're so connected, so connected.
Thank you so much, Joseph. And I wanted to talk a little bit about mentorship as well, because in addition to being a successful trader, you also help other developing traders to get closer to their trading goals and meet their goals. So can you talk a little bit about what that experience has been like mentoring others and how it factors into your life?
So in the beginning, I was posting all my trades in I know he's a friend, Smash the Bit. So hi, Smash, Scott, in around 2016, 17, when I started to become successful. And I was posting everything over there. Then after months, he started giving me like a room inside there. And then a lot of traders used to start asking me like help. And I was helping, traders like one by one, just like that, like for friendship. And this went over for about 1 year. Then it became like so much that I didn't have any more time for myself, for my trading, because I was dedicating so much of my time trying to make others improve. And then after 1 year and a half, it's around 2018, 19, I started to build a room, and right away I had traders that they were seeing the results of the system that I was trading. I always say I'm not a good trader, but the trading system that I made, the playbook, it works. So I started to coach traders, and I started to see that every trader is different. I started to see that, and I was doing this part even when I was like younger, at 24, 25, 26 in the Italian market. Traders were coming over here in my house in San Marino. And I started seeing that every trader is different. Personality. So you have to find out how's the trader, what he likes to do. And not everything that he will teach to that trader will work for another trader. For example, me and you can be very good, for example, in longing. I can be very good in shorting. Maybe you like more of those patterns. I like more of those patterns. So everybody's different, even the personality, even the type of trading. We can trade the same setup, let's say head and shoulders, but maybe you traded recycling. Maybe you trade like, starting small, adding, and then big size, or maybe I take one single entry. So we have to find out with time, with experience, with practice, what works better for you. And that's the reason why when you think you're going to become a trader or you want to become a trader, it doesn't take 6 months. The fact that you have to work your ass off to get to that level. It takes between 1 and generally 3 years, generally, because I always say it's just like becoming a lawyer, just like becoming a doctor. I don't think that you become a doctor in 1 year. I don't think you become a lawyer in 1 year. It takes years, right, of practice. Then there's who is like a genius, like Lance, Nate, they get to that level so quick. Or who, like me, takes more time, or who's lucky find a great system and does it right away. But it takes time. So the traders who start mentoring, they have to think they have a guide, but then they have to put the work in. And it's about what they put in. Because you can go to the best university, the best college, but if you don't put the work in, if you don't have the discipline, you follow the lesson, if you don't practice and put in practice what the professor tells you, you're not gonna, I would say, reach those level of knowledge. And even the professor over there cannot guarantee you that you will become the top lawyer or that you will become the top doctor. It's about not genetics. It's not about, I would say, it's about really how much you can work and overcome your errors and improve in trading more than something about, education, where you come from, all of that. It doesn't matter. I see the best traders that I know personally, they don't have a college degree, or they do different type of jobs. They don't involve at all things like you have to think like about trading. Okay, so it doesn't really matter, traders, if you did Harvard or you didn't do anything. It doesn't really matter.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's good news that you could be able to succeed at trading regardless of, what your income level was growing up or what your education level was and things like that. One of the questions that I had, Joseph, was whether you see any similarities in habits or characteristics from the traders who end up doing well that you've mentored. And on the flip side, if you see any similarities in habits or character on the traders that tend to struggle.
Yeah, I was just talking about this with my mom the other day, and I was reflecting really on this. And I know this question was not prepared, but it's very good. And I went to see over all the traders that succeeded and the one who didn't. So the one that succeeded, as I said before, they were not. The one that failed, they were, in my case, some doctors. They were people who really study a lot in life, not only. So it doesn't really matter, as I said before, your degree. Because these traders who failed, they told me, Jay, I'm a surgeon. Another one was a pilot, not Steve, that we know, Bus, he's very, very good. And he told me, Jay, I have to be so disciplined in my job because I have at risk the life of people. But trading tests me in a way like any other thing. And I remember we were in Denver, me and this pilot. He offered me even the dinner to me and my wife. He flew from Chicago. And he told me, Jay, I don't know what's up. I know the setup. I traded one day so good, seems like I'm best trader in the world. The other day, the second day, I lose all I made or even maybe more because it's all something about mentality or about discipline. And it's so different from my job. And he couldn't understand this. Well, what I believe and what I think, and I'm sure 100%, is how we can correct ourselves, is how we can overcome errors, is how we can adapt and improve. For me, it's about our will. For me, it's about really the time also that we have to devolve to trading, because I believe that a lot of traders who fail, they just needed more time, but a lot of traders don't have the time. Maybe somebody has 1 year of Kobe, so he took off to try trading, and he has potential, but he doesn't have enough time because he has to go back to his job, or because maybe he needs to pay his bills, right? So he needs something like an income, and he doesn't have enough time to study. So I believe one is about the timing that is a lack, because as I said, we will need to stay like 5 years to be sure. Have a paycheck, like, you have rentals, you can trade, and you have no doubts to bring home the food for you, your wife, and your kids, or your husband, your kids, because you're simply safe. That's the best case scenario. And I believe if we have that in life, if you have all the willpower, all the resilience, then we won't have 90% of the traders fading. We will have probably 15, 20% of the traders fading. Because then we'll be all self-sure that I can take the time that I want, I have no stress, I have no anxiety, I can perform with patience, I'm simply over there, I look at my trades, and I can trade so good. That would be the best case scenario. But unfortunately, life is not like that. It was not like me like that when I started, because I had 1 year, or that, or the university that I don't like. So that is the one thing. The other thing is how you can correct yourself. because I can repeat, and I repeat often, the same things over and over. And the trader told me, Jay, I know what you're going to tell me. I didn't respect, I anticipated, I was greedy. You told me 100 times to, let's say, trade a setup, and I didn't. I missed a playbook, and so on and so on and so on. So it's about really how you can put in practice the corrections. And those for me are the main things.
Okay, thank you. I think those are fantastic and very insightful, observations that you make and connections. I know you mentioned during your first year that, finding others that you were able to discuss and learn about the stock market was important for you and your success. Is that something that you also find with those that you're mentoring? Is they're opening up and they're networking with others and they're learning from others?
Yes. Study everybody and then look what suits you. One of the things that I did when I started trading in Italy, as I told you, I had this Marco Alberti. Besides him, I didn't have really mentors. In 2005, 2006, I joined Day Trading University, Ken Kalunga and Steven Ism, who brought the candlestick patterns to the nowadays in the market. And I remember that was a lot about candlestick. And what I remember is that I didn't ask about their P&L. I didn't ask about their, I would say, bank statements. What I want is was a guide. Somebody taught me the patterns, that taught me how to trade, because not the best coaches in NBA or in football or in soccer were the best athlete themselves, but they were simply formidable, I would say, coaches that they could bring their teams to win, or they could bring their athletes to be the best. So it has to be something mutual, and there has to be trust. The second thing is that if you learn everything, you have to do two things. One, not confuse yourself, because you will have so many notions. So you have to really see what is the best thing for you. And the second thing is to try to work it on your way. For example, as we were saying before, I trade on head and shoulder at daily level. There are so many ways you will trade it, but you have to see how you can trade it the best, what suits you. And I believe that it only takes time to do this. It only takes a lot of practice.
If it's okay with you, I'd love to go through a lightning round set of questions. Pretty quick questions, pretty quick answers. Is that okay?
Yes, sure.
The first question that I have is, what is the best piece of trading advice you ever were told or read?
That it takes time to become successful.
What do you consider to be your greatest strength as a trader?
That I can adapt to the markets and not be stubborn.
Is there anything that you're working to improve on in your own trading in 2024?
Yes, building my hedge fund, because that is what I'm working for. So putting more algorithms on my partners, already 70 algorithms that are actually working and performing.
Do you believe there are any common misperceptions that exist about trading?
Oh, so many. I don't like, for example, who thinks that you have to know where the market is going to go, because for me, that's not important. I mean, you're not a swing trader. You simply follow a strategy. The second thing is that don't believe in, open an account with $100 and make $100 in a day, because I wish it was like that for me. I was a little bit happy. And also that we don't have anything else like Bitcoin that went up, 20,000% or something like that. So don't think about finding something like that, because it's very, very strange.
Do you tend to use hard stops or mental stops in order to get out of a position?
I can answer like this. The worst losses I had in pre-market in small caps, very big losses. I'm talking about big 4 and 5 figures one time. Because there was no stop losses I could put, then I learned how with DAS you can put the stop loss pre-market. There's a way that I show also in Twitter. So if you need, ask me traders. And that for me was the thing.
Is there anything that you do away from the trading desk that you believe gives you really strong performance when you get back and are trading?
Yes, having a stress release thing. So when I come to trading, I know that I'm in Italy. So when I get to trading over here is like my 4 o'clock New York time. So my 10 o'clock. I need to put out stress first. So when I come over here, I'm calmer. I can wait for a position. I can wait to trade more than normal. If I am full of like energies, if I'm full of adrenaline, and I can't simply wait, then I will do errors. So in my case, something that for my personality makes me feel like more relaxed. Could be a massage, could be like some eating something like walk with a dog or trading out.
Is there anything in terms of your trading style or your lifestyle that you're planning to adjust as you get closer to fatherhood in the next few months?
I was going to ask you what I should do. So yes, my wife and me are waiting a daughter in three months. I believe that I will probably get to the computer not anymore 4 o'clock New York time for the first 6-12 months. So probably 2 hours later to help her out. And I believe that some of the time that I devolve to back testing during the weekends is going to be devoted also to my daughter. So, family first, but then also have responsibilities towards the traders who I'm mentoring them because I love every single one. I dedicate a lot of time to every single one.
And real quick, congratulations to you and your wife on your growing family. I'm very excited for you. I'm going to be checking in and seeing how you're doing. So, yeah. And Joseph, last question. For those who are interested in learning more about you and the way that you trade, or maybe even contacting you, how can they do so?
They can contact me at email team@daytrader.co. But also, if I can, I would like to invite you all. I know that Trader for Cause is going to be with us in Madrid for the 1st of May. So all European traders, in case this is coming out before the 1st of May, if you want to join with St. Lucia do Trades and other traders in Madrid, I'm going to be there for one full day of seminar, and it's going to be great.
And I highly recommend, if those are able to attend, to do so. There's going to be some great traders there. And so, yeah, Joseph, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. It's been a pleasure. It's great to see you again, brother.
Thank you very much, Nieto. Thank you, Investor on the Ground, and great work, guys.
We hope you enjoyed this interview on the Investors Underground podcast. We have more great interviews that we believe you might also like, so don't forget to subscribe. You'll be notified of upcoming releases the moment they become available. Thanks for watching.